It's so nice to be here. I'm Felicia Simone. I know you were around Grandma Polly, but she is burying her father today, and we send her our condolences. And she asked me to guest host, and I'm excited to be able to do that. So we're going to get started. We had a little technical error, so if you want to go ahead and start sharing this video with your friends and followers and on your pages and in your groups, do that now. Just click that button down at the bottom, that arrow that lets you share. And I just want to leave you with a tidbit, okay? Mama used to say, children learn to model what we do, not what we say. And a famous philosopher said, the three most important ways to lead people are by example, by example, by example. And with that said, add your thoughts about that in the comments, and we will see you shortly on the other side.
Here come the big rig kids, y'all. Are you ready? Let's go. Here come the big rig kids. Roll with the big rig kids. Let's Sapphire the truck, take you to such amazing places with the big rig kids. Those helpful big rig kids. See how they give and grow and get to know amazing things. Learn with the big rig kids, and you'll see how it is to have adventure days and hang and play with all your friends. Because the big rig kids know what it is to live a most exciting and inviting life is positive.
Thank you so much. That's like my favorite song. I know it by heart now. So we're so excited to be here. This is season 3, episode 7, and this episode is about being an example. And we are so very excited to welcome our special guest, Mr. John Baxter. And I'm not going to tell you about him. We actually have a voiceover for that. So take a listen and hear about our next guest. Tonight's guest, John Baxter, is a 46-year-old author of 4 books. The titles are Mental Imprisonment, Fixing Shattered Glass, From One Side to the Other, Poems from Inside 2010, and Fat Girl Love, that's PHAT, which is narrated to become one of his many movies in the future. John's latest book is entitled Twelevation and available on Amazon. John also directed and produced his first movie called Scared the Sh Out 'em 2, which premiered in 2022. John also owns a store in the Marketplace Mall in Winston-Salem called John's Variety. John loves the Lord and believes that without him, none of this would be possible. Learn more and support John's journey by following him on social media. At Facebook, John Baxter, author, and on Instagram, Mr. Phenomenon 525. So without further ado, Conversations with Grandma Polly friends and followers, let's give a warm welcome to our very special guest, Mr. John Baxter. Hey, John. How you doing? Hey, John. How
Today.
you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good, good. We're so happy to have you. Thank you for working with us through our little technical issue there. We appreciate your patience, and we want to jump right into it. Mrs. Renee told me so much about you and how you guys met at the fair, the conference in North Carolina, and we just want to jump right in. You know that our topic tonight is being the example because you are living being an example, especially after having so many trials and tribulations in your life. So let's jump right into it. Tell us who John is and what got you to where you are today.
I'm John Baxter. I am a native of Winston-Salem. And the reason why I'm on the path where I'm at today, it might sound sad to say, but losing my parents, it made me really want to change and be a better me. And I see things different from what I used to see things.
That's awesome. That's simply put, and I appreciate that. And it's not sad because we all have to go sometimes. But
Right.
I respect that you said that based on what you have experienced, it led you to be the person that you are trying to daily become every single day. I respect that. I definitely respect that. Now let's talk about all of these things you've done. You are a multitasker to say the least. You have
Yeah.
books, you have film that's coming out. You have a store that you have out in Winston Salem. So it sounds like you're busy, busy, busy. Tell us about some of those things and how you've been able to accomplish what you have so far.
Well, as we said, like who I am and where I'm from, and like my mother, she plays a big part. I did come out here. I worked two jobs to get to where I'm at. I made a decision. Was I gonna work all my life, or was I gonna start a business? And by the grace of God, He allowed me to start from my car, and then I went, to a flea market, and then here, as soon as I got here, the pandemic hit. And I just couldn't give up. I got like a slogan, like each one lead one, and that's not a good leader to give up. So I didn't give up. I stayed in the store and I prayed, and God just started giving me words to write. And the good thing about the way I write, I ain't writing 300-page, 1,000-page books. I just want to get right to the point when I write. I want you to be able to read and understand basically, not like I'm writing some what you like a professor or something. I want you to understand like in layman's terms that when you read this book, like you saying to yourself like, wow, like this man, he just wrote. It's like he writing for me. And I ain't writing for college students. I want you to start over. I want you to be at the beginning to be able to understand what I'm writing. And so just like the books just start coming again through prayer, like giving glory to God. And from the books, my fourth book, I wrote a movie. And as I wrote the movie, I just went somewhere to try to pitch it. And like for me, like I live to tell all of y'all, just if you ever hear no, it's not for you to give up. This just means for you to keep going because maybe God got something else for you. So I started doing the filming. I did my no, let me start over. Let me back up. I did some acting in Wilmington, North Carolina. I was on this series like called Sleepy Hollow. I did like three scenes in 2014, and I just knew that God had something for me. I just didn't know the time when He was gonna open the door. And when I wrote the movie Fat Girl Love, as I was saying, I went somewhere to pitch it, and then that's when He gave me the knowledge, like go down there and just do it yourself. Don't worry about nothing. Step out on faith. I ain't know who was gonna edit it or nothing. And just, I met some guys at the North Carolina School of the Arts that was just right here, man. Like it was like they was walked into my life. Then I started filming my first movie. I mean, to me, it was a success. I mean, I'm local. I'm right here. Now I'm on my second film. So it's just a lot of things in my head that I know that's finna get to come out and surface into the world.
Very, very awesome. I love that you said you're bringing it down to the simplest form, to the beginning, and you want to
Yeah.
reach people where they are. And I read in one of the articles that you mentioned that you are a very spiritual person. You feel like all of the things that have happened to you, like the students coming and eventually being able to be your help for the film, that these are things that you feel like have been happening because you've been on the right path. And I thought that that was awesome that you mentioned that in the article as well. And to get into, you have the book. One of your books is called Mental Imprisonment: Fixing Shattered Glass. And give us a little bit of a premise behind what that book was about and how you got that title. It sounds like it was something that was really powerful that came to you. Tell us a little more about that.
Let's like I heard everything you said. Let's not make no mistakes. I know I'm not perfect. I love the Lord. I fall down, but what the word say about a just man follow, we able to get back up. And I do love God. I go to church as much as I can. I pray every day. I read my word. And how I got to mental imprisonment, like even if a lot of people confused about what it means to be locked up in your mind, my book Mental Imprisonment gives you an idea of what it means. And when I pray to God for something, He give me something. I found out that I was mentally imprisoned before I even went to a real prison, to a physical prison. And man, just the things that was in my head where I thought that it was the way to go, the way to be. And like I said, I'm not perfect. I still fall down today. But I know how to go to God and ask for forgiveness. And like mentally being in prison is like when I know I should be doing this, I'm still stuck over here doing that. Well, I shouldn't be doing that.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely understand that and can relate to it, because like you mentioned, whether it's physical imprisonment or a mental imprisonment, we all have been down one of those paths, or at least know someone who, may directly or indirectly be someone that's been down one of those paths. And it's great that you're talking about it, so that people don't have a fear of having the conversation, because if you can't talk about it, then it's going to be even more difficult for you to overcome it. So that I think that's great. Now, you are, like Mrs. Renee said, the example. The reason that she termed this conversation with Grandma Polly be the example, is because it's something that she always talks about. She preaches it on a daily basis, and we all are trying in some way, shape, or form to be an example. So tell us, how do you do that, especially based on the history that you've shared with us. I know it could be difficult sometimes, like you mentioned, to be the example, but what can you tell our viewers about being an example? And I'd like for some of our guest viewers also, tell us, what do you do? How are you an example in your home or in your business, or in your community? John, tell us what it is that you do to be the example.
What it is that I do, and this is going to be the other half of my book, Mental Imprisonment, Fiction, Shattered Glass. Again, man, glory to God. I'm able to, even when I fall down, I'm able to look back and like repent and then turn around and be like, I know that's wrong. So I'm able to fix it. And like the things that I do falls like school supply giveaways or Christmas giveaway or community cookout, even though it was one time and it's gonna become again. How I become an example, like I'm in my store every day. Every day I come to work. It don't matter because people say this is your business, you can close when you want to. I have to show God that if you gave me this, I'm here every day. When I'm writing, I'm praying every morning for the words. I'm doing it. Even if you over there and you can't see what I'm doing, like I'm able to tell you like I'm doing now in this interview. Like everything that I do, like I pray to God and He lead the way and I follow.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're not going to get it right all the time. None of us do. That's impossible. But like you said, you figure out what the mistakes are. Hopefully you can figure it out if you don't have a mentor or a good friend or somebody to tell you. But if you can happen to figure it out yourself, then you try and fix it. And I love that you said, yeah, I have this business. John's in his business right now, literally, and at work right now. Just closed
Hmm.
at 7, closed a little bit early so he could hop on this live and share his story. But you said you go to work every day. That's right, because yeah, it is your business. But how is a business successful if you're closing whenever you feel like it? Like you said, you've been given this opportunity to spread what you have and hopefully become even more prosperous by having a business and writing books and writing a film. But if you treat it, as if it is something that it's not important for you to treat it like it's important, then you'll get that kind of outcome if you decide to use that way. If you use that kind of thinking. So I think that's awesome that you're mentioning this, and I know you probably have people who are looking at what you're doing. I could imagine that you have a lot of folks who are paying attention to John, probably a little bit more than you think they should be paying attention. But they're paying attention to your every move and hopefully not, being too overbearing. But I can imagine that's a lot. What type of struggles have you found yourself going through? And tell our audience how you try to resolve those things. How do you de-stress and try to keep your mental health in order?
The struggles that I be going through, like and coming to this business world, at first I didn't understand it, but I had to realize that, like you said earlier, or we both said, it ain't gonna always be sunny. So even when I go through these rainy days, I tell myself, don't give up, get out there and go walk some laps, do some push-ups or something. Like take my mind off the fact that, okay, this hour right here, I ain't make no money. So now I'm looking at this next hour. Well, just start doing some push-ups, take my mind off of it, and then something walks right through the door. But not, and again, I stay in prayer, and I try not to ask God for the same thing over and over, but I stay in prayer, and I got to start telling them thank you after I pray.
Mm.
I love that. I love that you mentioned that because like you said, that's important. You kind of talked about something that we posted in our forum the other day about authenticity, being very, very honest and modeling behavior that you want people to see in you. So and even the humbleness, saying I'm not perfect. I'm not acting like I'm perfect, and I know I'm in a new lane, so I have to ask for some assistance, while I'm navigating all of this very, very new stuff. Because you are definitely being an author, being a business person, and then adding the film industry, the entertainment industry onto it. Oh, buddy, I could tell you some stories. And again, use the resources that you have. We know each other now. So, if you have a question about something that we can possibly answer or help you with or direct you to, I think we have to get a lot better with making sure that we're using our resources and we're really, really helping each other. Being the example is also being a help to the next man or woman who needs it, if they have something that you could possibly assist them with. So I think that's awesome that you're taking what you're doing. I think I read in one of the articles that you're working on some things where you're helping folks who were formerly imprisoned, and we need that. We're finally getting a lot of laws that are helping with some of the injustices in the criminal justice system and things like that. But we still have a long way to go, and we need folks on the front lines who are willing to say, hey, I know about that, I've been there, and let me help make sure you either don't get there and you definitely don't go back if you've already been there. So tell us about some of the work that you do. You said you started a couple of drives and a couple of events that you hope to make annual. Tell us about some of those things.
All right, we did a series. I have a talk show called Chop It Up with Chipper the Show, and it's a testimonial show. So not just me, so you don't have to hear from me. So I had other friends, associates that come on and talk about some of the things they went down in their road, and they seen the glory of what God has pulled them through. And yes, and true indeed, this is really like my mission. If I let people know I'm not perfect, I'm gonna fall down. But in all, like I want to be on the news. I want to like talk about those. Stop the gun violence. Stop killing each other. We don't really got to fight or none of that. I mean, I just want to bring peace Judge, I want us to come together. It's not about one race, man, because it's, and all in all, God sit down one race. It just start breaking out like branches and trees. But for me, right here where I'm sitting at and where I live at, I just want to start reaching out to some of the young brothers that we don't have to carry guns, we don't have to kill each other. Like we can live amongst each other and be happy. And but back to like the talk show, this testimony is a big thing to me. Like you like I said, I've been to prison before. And like some of the guys that was on the show that have went there, like they out here now and they ain't gone back. I mean, we all like busy, we all doing things, but we still know each other. We might not talk as much. There's a few of them that I talk to pretty regular, and I have guys call me from the prison system. Like one of them getting out next month, but it's only so much I can do. But at the same time, I'm there for them, even if it's just mentally, even if it's just some words of encouragement, something I can advise them to do better to where they don't got to go back. And you don't got to fall back into the snares of the devil coming out here because this guy got a gun or this guy got a good car or this guy got a lot of money in his pocket. So what? I'm telling them, like, I'm able to, like, show them that, yo, look at me. I see so much, but I love being me. I ain't perfect again. I tell you, I want to be humble. I get like heated and frustrated about things, but I snap back and I let, cause God, he'll try to touch me somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Spiritually, like, bro, you know that ain't right. You need to apologize. I do. So I'm getting so much into this apologize. People like, no, you don't gotta apologize. Stop saying I'm sorry. Nah, because we got to learn to, like you say, humble yourself. If you know you done something wrong, apologize. And some people like, you gonna do it again. I need you to realize that I was born into sin. I'm not perfect. So if I do this time and I apologize, and then 2 months later I do it again, like, okay, let me repent. Let me apologize. I'm just telling you, I want to be a better person. And for me, want to be a better person, I want to be able to tell the next man or the next young guy, like, yo, you don't have to do this. It's only if you're going to listen. Each one lead one. That's like I said, that's my slogan.
I love that. I love that, John. And you're right. And if no one's told you or given you that kudos, I just met you. But in terms of emotional intelligence, that's a real thing. It describes how you identify and manage your emotions. And that's important. That's something that we all could use maybe a course on, or some mental health work on, because it's very important, and it typically defines why we find ourselves in confrontations with folks, because of our lack of emotional intelligence. Being able to self-regulate yourself, being able to have empathy and show social skills, and those things are really, really important. But unfortunately, we're not taught them in schools, and depending on our situation, sometimes at home, we may not be getting that in front of us as often as we need to see it. So I agree with you. I'm one of those people that be like, if I offended you, I'm sorry. That wasn't my intention. And I don't have a problem saying I'm sorry. And we probably all could use a little bit more of that, as opposed to the opposite, which is, I don't care what they say. I don't care what you think about me. We tell our daughter, you want to care what people think about you. That's your
Right,
character. So
right.
to not care what they think about you means that you're not interested in your reputation or your character. And that's
Mm-hmm.
really, really important. So I'm glad you brought that up, because this is all talking about, whether you know it or not, it's talking about being that example. And if we all
Right,
chose to be an example to someone, to anyone, we would probably have a lot less of the confrontation and all of these things that end up turning into us being a large facet of sometimes the criminal justice system, with all the other things that we have to worry about when it's not necessarily our fault and we end up in there anyway. So yeah, I commend you on growing and constantly trying to maintain, emotionally, because that's a lot, especially as a Black man in America. I'm not ashamed to say it or scared to say it. That's a lot. and we have a lot more that we need to do in terms of that. Now, I got to talk because look, when I read your bio and I saw scared the out of them, I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that. So tell me about that
Cool.
because it's catchy, and I know you did that purposely. I imagine because you wanted people to say, "What in the what?" So tell me about the film that's coming, that's premiering within next week, right? In two weeks.
No, next month. No, yeah, next month. Yeah, it's less than 30 days. Next month, November the 11th, is the premiere. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. Um, like you remember I told you about the movie Fat Girl Love that I wrote. I rode somewhere by myself, stepped out on faith. Um, no, like I said, no don't mean give up. As I started this movie, I asked a couple of guys, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm honest. I don't even know how God gave me that title, but He gave it to me. And like the first movie, it was like it just went so good, and the cast, they participation, like, yo, I can understand that, I can dig this, and very, very, very delighted that you say it's very catchy. It is. I mean, I can't wait for the world to see it. With God to get it out on these platforms and people just start going into it. And that's what we always say. That title is gonna make people look at it. Then when you look at it, and then you see the comedy in it, it's no bloodshed, no exploitation of women's body, ain't all that cussing. Just cause it say scared, like I'm just reminded of being young and you're on your way home, walking on a dark street, and a dog, even if it's a little dog, come running and it don't bite you, but you still get startled a little bit. So I just took the concept of that and just put grown people into a situation to where it's like, yo, this guy ain't got no business walking out this woods scaring me. And again, like I said, there's no killing, nothing like that. It's not a scary movie. It's a suspense. It's really, my thing was to let people know that, man, it's bigger than self awareness, but world awareness too.
Got you. Got you. I love that. And I have to say, I went to YouTube. I love it. I thought that was very creative. And these are your first Fat Girl, PHAT, love. I
Yeah.
thought that was very catchy as well. And this is when we must begin to support our folks. When they're on the ground floor, when they're behind the camera, they're writing, they're the producer, the director, the writer, and they have to do all of that themselves. Because you best believe Tyler Perry and Issa Rae and all of those cats have their first. This is going to be in a picture frame for you when you have your
Yeah.
10th, when you're on stage getting that Emmy or and all of those things. We have to start support. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it. We have to really start supporting our folks in the beginning, and sometimes it comes from very small things. Mrs. Renee and Kenny and I talk about this all the time. It comes from, like, right now, if you're at home eating dinner, you could have this live on, and even if you turned it face down and went and watched TV, it's still a view, a like,
Right.
a subscribe, a comment, a kudos, just to give somebody a little extra encouragement, a share. All of those things are really, really important, and we have to start doing that now. And that's a great segue because we have some really, really great things coming up. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Mrs. Renee does an annual business promotion for folks who are business owners like yourself, who are artists, authors, organizers, educators, you name it. She does a promo where she gives you a few minutes on her show, and you can talk about your product. And we do it on the way to Black Friday and Christmas and Kwanzaa, when all of those things are coming up. So we encourage folks to make sure that they drop a line, add somebody's Facebook page or a link to their website, or add that information in the comments, or send us a DM in the messaging. And she's really big on supporting and networking, and I love that about her. And we all need to do the exact same thing. So make sure that you're doing that, that you're encouraging other folks, and let us know what they're doing so that we can then engage folks uh, to purchase our products. So we can tell people, if you're in Winston-Salem, go to John's Variety. We know John, and John's a good brother doing some good things. So help keep something on his table so that we can all then, eat together. There's no reason for us to be going against each other, as opposed to trying to support each other. And that's really, really important. So we're excited about that. We have a biz network where we work with a whole bunch of folks, professionals and parents. And we have a forum where we share information, whether they're positive articles, or we have mentorship programs. We have so many things going on, like you, John. So we definitely want to get you in there, because your story is one that I don't believe we have anyone who can share the same type of story that you have. And mentorship can come from multiple places. Whether we're talking about folks who are formerly incarcerated, who have been able to start businesses and become authors, and so forth and so on, to folks who are authors, artists. We have pastors in there. We have some managers in there. We have some agents, film agents. So people in there who may be able to tell you a story about where they've gone, before you get there. And we want to be able to do that. Mentorship is not just about young people. Mentorship can cross all generations, and we have some really great people who have volunteered to give some of their time and share some of their experiences, because it's priceless. So I'm very excited. We're going to shoot you some details about that, because we'd love for you to consider being a virtual mentor for our business. And we're just excited. I'm so glad that I was able to guest host the show, because I normally stay in the background. I'm the person that'll be sending you the emails and sending you the direct messages and posting on your page. But because Mrs. Renee, bless her heart, and her family had to funeralize her dad, she's called me and said, "Felicia, I need you to do this show." So I'm happy that we got a chance to meet this way, and I'm hopeful that you'll be able to come back on the show, and perhaps then you can show us around the store. We can let you go live, and you can go around the store, show people what you got, and you can make a whole thing of it. Whatever day you decide to come, you can get some of your Winston-Salem folks to come out, and we can let them see what you're doing, and we can continue to support you in that way. And now the next thing I definitely want to make sure that I talked about, you have 4 books out. How in the world did you find the time? When are you writing? While you at work, or are you sleeping? What's happening?
Hey, how I'm writing my books? And that's a good question that I must say. I talked about earlier how sometimes when I feel like it's a slow moment in here and I go do push-ups or walk laps or whatever, I came to a thought with myself one day, and like I said, I prayed. If it's slow and God giving me these words, why not put it on paper? Why not start writing it? And I can assure you, well, I don't have to assure, but I didn't even have like thoughts about writing books when I got to open this store. But that pandemic came and things were going. I sit in this store, I write 5 or 6 pages, put the pen down, might start writing an hour later. I wrote all my books myself, poems from Inside 2010. I think I pushed all these books this year in like 1 year, maybe 1 year, a little over a year. I like to write anyway, so I just be writing, and everybody like to talk. So instead of me talking when I'm here by myself, I'm just putting on paper what I possibly be saying to help somebody out. And that was my mission, to like write something, man, inspirational that somebody can read. And I know I heard you say, as far as like being an example, what our parents would used to say, you do what I say or whatever. And my thing is, I wanted to write the book that way you can read the book and you don't see me. You read the words and you like, okay, you don't have to wonder what John Baxter is doing. You just read and let the words soak into your mind, and you just be like, okay, this is what I should be doing. But now and now, I sit in here, I'm doing a lot of thinking. Here lately though, I need to put this phone down and get back. I want, man, if Lord bless me to do it again, 2023 my year. I want to put 5 more books out there. I don't care if it's a 100-page book, 70-page book. I want to write something that somebody can look at and they can stick to them and be like, let me turn to this direction. Let me do a whole 180-degree turn and turn around. You know?
That's that. Yeah, you said it though, and I'm so glad that you said it because this is a conversation that I have with my former students from Cheney University all the time. We all, in my opinion, have a story in us. You know, whether it's a book or a film or something. I believe that we all have a story to tell. Some of them may not be the happiest stories, but it's still a story, and a sad story can help a person, especially if they can relate to that sad story. And I love that you said, you know, you were in there, you were in the store, and you said, well, you know what, I'm just going to write this stuff down. And I think if we're really getting away from being folks who write stuff down, and we really try to encourage our young folks to try to get back to that. You know, to put the phone down, or if you're going to use the phone, at least consider using the part of the phone that can help you with putting some stuff on paper. So maybe putting it on audio using the voice memo or the voice recorder, but trying to get some of it out. One is therapeutic. I'm sure those books that you wrote, I'm sure that some of them were helping you be able to have
Yes.
conversations that you maybe needed to have anyway, which is
Mhm.
a wonderful thing. But we have to get better, in my opinion, with sharing what we've been through. You mentioned, and Mrs. Renee has a segment that she's bringing back out of the crates, as we say, digging in the crates, that's called Mama Used to Say. And you mentioned we have some Mama Used to Says that are very, very good advice from our parents and our grandparents and our elders and ancestors. But then we have some that weren't that good. And you mentioned one of them. You said, Mama used to say, do as I say and not as I do, right? Even though we know that children, especially children, but even young people, period, learn to model what we do, not what we say. You know, your child see you throwing something out of the window in the car, they're gonna think, oh, it's okay to throw stuff out the window while we driving down the street, and assume that it's fine because they've seen you do it. You know, if they see you on the phone while you're driving, texting, or doing whatever, guarantee more than likely when they get their driver's license, they're going to do the exact same thing. So that being an example is really, really important in our communities because our children are watching everything that we do, you know. And as an educator, I also know that even the college students that I was dealing with, they were watching everything that I do, and they still tell me to this day. They said, Professor Simone, you know, we see you on social media and you never doing anything wrong. And I said, and you won't see me doing anything wrong because I have a reputation to uphold. Right. And that's really, really important. So when they look, exactly, leading by example, exactly, Lisa. So you are doing a phenomenal job. And I looked through your page. Do you have children?
Yeah, well, yes. I have 3 sons 4 grandbabies. I wanted to add something right quick. Like you said, like your students when you was a professor in college. Right now, I take kids to school, right? And just what you said, like I try to do the right thing. Like I don't want to be. I put the music on, and I'm rolling through commercials and all. I don't, man. I don't like people. Somebody will call me or whatever, and they be like, "You still taking this kid to school?" Like, yeah. All right, hang up. I don't want to throw nothing out the window. Even if it's summertime and I got the windows down, the worst they probably can see is my elbow out the window. I might push it a little bit, but at the same time, letting them know you want to stay focused. That's the best teacher for me to do when them kids in that car is they looking at me and I'm not looking left to right. I'm looking straight ahead. I'm focused on where I'm getting them at. I ain't looking at nothing to get me sidetracked. I want to make sure they get to school safe. I ain't with all that cussing music. You know, I can pull that out when they gone, and I don't care too much about it. But I'm glad you said that because I should have been said that. But yeah, I take a couple of kids to school and I try to be modest as I can be. Like I'm not a gangster. You know, I don't even with all that cussing stuff. Like if I smoke a cigarette, it'll be after the fact that they out the car. You know, because like you said, if they see somebody doing it, I don't know if they look up to me.
That's right.
Apparently, it's the second year, so they like riding. They like me to take them to school. So
That's
I'm doing something right. So I need to stay doing something right. I need to lead by example.
absolutely. Absolutely. You're right. You're right. And like you
And
said, you
those
had
not my kids.
oh, they're not
They're not
that
my
none
kids.
of your kids. Right. See, and how about that? It's equally as important, even if they're not your kids. Sometimes people be like, "Well, they ain't my kids." It still matters. It matters a
Yeah, it
lot,
matters.
especially where in the neighborhoods where we're from. I'm from North Philadelphia, and that was a rougher neighborhood than most when we came up. So we were always seeing a lot of negative behaviors that couldn't be controlled. You know, walking to school, it couldn't be controlled. These were things that were just happening. So, as much consistency as you can get is really, really important. You know, so you almost have to put, you know, they call it a cloak around your children and your grandchildren. You know, if you are living in a place that's challenged with these kind of issues, to try to make sure that they're not seeing too much of it, and that you don't have to share too much with them too soon, you know, because our babies are learning things at such an earlier age that a lot of it is out of our control. So we're pulling all over the place to try to make sure that they are getting as wholesome lessons as they possibly can get, and that's wonderful. You don't look like you're old enough to have grandbabies though, so that's good. Your stress levels must be down. You're not gray yet and all of that. That's good.
Well, I got 4 grandbabies. Five. I got one on the way. I'm gonna have 5.
Wow. Wow. I'm lucky. I don't have any grandbabies yet, and I'm not interested in any. So I make sure I let our daughter know every day that that's not my interest. Thank God she's doing her own thing, and she's not interested in having any children. She'll tell you that in a minute. So again, I'm glad though that that was something that was modeled in front of her, you know, where she probably said, well, you know, I want to do a couple more things. But if you do decide to have children, you know, and whenever you decide to have them, you want to have a dad or a granddad like you who is saying, yo, yeah, I did these things. I listen to rap music. You know, I'm from the hood. So that's what I grew up on and that's what I like. But do I listen to it in front of children with impressionable minds? No, no, I don't. I'm grown. So I know I'm not going to go out and do what Biggie said. I'm just going to sing it. You know, it's a difference.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, it's a
yeah,
difference. And
yeah,
and
it's a
you
big,
know, part in the rush, and that's the thing. Like, cause the kids I go to school, man, you know nowadays, you know the internet is like is running stuff, man. Instagram and stuff, they see that stuff. Though, like I try not to bring none of that around kids. Like if I can help it, whether I'm driving the kids to school or whether I'm somewhere, I try to make sure my pants pulled up. Like I try to like I don't really care about the cussing. I'm not even big on that. So I win with that. And it's for me another part of my change is my grandbabies. It's all girls. I got one grandson. I think I got one on the way, so it'll be 3 and 2. And like for me, everything I'm doing, I want to better my life so I can be that granddad to be like, I left them some. Like any car that I buy, I want to pay it off. If it ain't number 5 grand, I want to keep it running. So I love their parents. My sons, they all of them grown. They are well in their 20s, and I'm proud of them. But you never know. Like me, I left when I was in my 20s. So if anything happened, Lord forbid, I want to be able to be that backbone with their other grandparents and their mother to be like, yo, I can call on Pa Chip. You know and I'm so thankful again. I give glory to God because even in my fall, He's making me rise. He's like, yo, I got something for you, John. Just because you failed, don't give up. And I do love the kids, man. I love everybody in this world. And I can't help everybody. And the people that I do help, I can't help them all the time. But when God allowed for me to help them, I'm right there, man, with an open heart.
That's amazing. Yeah, yeah, and that's important. Yeah, that it's awesome too that you mentioned that. Even we had a few segments about financial literacy and leaving things to our children and so forth, and that is, in my opinion, what reflects a man. Someone who takes care of his household, takes care of his family, and tries to leave something. You want to leave a legacy. Another legacy doesn't have to include you owning a business or writing a book and doing a film, but the character part of it is equally, if not sometimes more important than all of those tangible things. We do want to make sure we're creating generational wealth because we know that's something that we were robbed of for long times. So we want to make sure that we're leaving something useful to our children so they don't have to work as hard as we did. That's always been the goal, I think, for most folks. We want to make sure that our children are better off than we were able to be, than what our parents may have had the capacity to do for us. And I think that's very, very commendable. Like I said, that is the reflection to me of somebody who is the head of the household, whether it's a man or a woman. That's the reflection of what that's supposed to mean. You being good in character. And just to get to that point, I'm glad you mentioned that because I almost forgot to shout out our sponsors. If you're interested in being a sponsor, please let us know. But you see, our sponsors are Simone Enterprises and Entertainment Company, and the Simone Family Foundation, as well as KJ Multimedia Solutions. So we are excited to have them. We are opening up things to have additional sponsors. So if you would like to support this show, the show that converses about the adversities that we've gone through and how we've been able to pull ourselves up literally by our bootstraps, then please let us know. Again, if you have a business or you're an author or an artist or a community organizer or an advocate, whatever you do, we would love to shout you out on the show, give you some promo and whatnot. That stuff's not free anymore. I'm sure you get a whole lot of people who are trying to charge you up just to come onto their shows. Well, you better catch Grandma Polly while it's low key because eventually the ads will begin to run. But we want to try to get as many people as we can right now. Like John. So we're so excited, and I'm so glad that she got a chance to meet you so that we can bring you on. Because now that I know who you are, I'm sharing your information. I'm going to make sure that I can watch the premiere. So I'm assuming that it's also going to be filmed live. Is it going to be live streamed as well? I know you're having an in person, but are you going to maybe have somebody record it and stick it on social media so those of us who are not in Winston-Salem, we can support you that way?
Idea. I know we gonna get it, put it on Amazon and YouTube. And one of the cast that's gonna be at the doors, like talking about how they like the movie, doing that in and out. So maybe that will be a good idea to have somebody just sit there and go live to the whole movie. Right now, it's for me, we want to make money, but it's not about the money right now. It's about getting out there, like you said. And I put my hand to raise it. I want you to be my sponsor. So I just want you to know that now. So we will be staying in touch. And I'm glad you said that. So I'm glad you said that. And I didn't think about it, because like I said, we stepping out on faith, and you have to hold on and wait for God to give you what He gonna give you. And I always tell my cats, like, when that door open, money gonna come for everybody. We coming, but maybe that's what we need. We need to think about doing, like have somebody in there to go live. So yeah, I have maybe my assistant or my secretary down there just hold the phone and just go live. Cause it's a feature, so it's like it's nothing to switch. And maybe I might be the one to do it. So yeah.
Yeah. And John,
That'll
don't
be
look,
idea.
don't go live. Don't go live. Don't misunderstand me. Don't go live and show the screening, but the behind the scenes. Like a film festival. My daughter just went to a Newport Beach Film Festival because they did the world premiere of her new movie that's coming out. So just do the behind the scenes. If you decide to do a little red carpet, show the people. Everybody like being on TV and being on the carpet. Show the people who are coming, but then send us that information and the link to Amazon and the link to YouTube if you're going to charge for it, or any ticket prices and so forth, because we need to support monetarily as well. Because you've put a lot of work into this. You have cast members, who I'm sure were friends and family who helped you and wanted to support you. But I mean, come on, it's not a big thing. We spend money on a lot of things. So in my opinion, when somebody comes and says, "Oh, Felicia, I wrote a book," I'll be the first to tell you, and my friends and family who know me, that I don't even read a lot of books. I've read a lot in college for things that I didn't have an interest in reading, so I never got into reading for leisure. But I will buy a book if you tell me that you wrote a book. So I want you to make sure that you have somebody put in the links to all of your books so that we can add them to all of those posts that we shared across social media, so we can support you in that way. Because if you can go and buy a 6 pack or a 12 or 24 pack of Pepsis, then you can pay somebody $20 for a book, plus the shipping. It's no reason that we can't do that. So we definitely want to support you. We appreciate your interest in being a sponsor and a mentor. We're definitely going to reach back out to you. And I wanted to make sure that I gave you an opportunity to just plug where everything's going to be. Tell us again what was in the intro in terms of the books that you've written and where they can be found. If we need to come to Winston-Salem, because I drive past there all the time, if I need to just stop at the mall and pick up one of the books. But tell everybody where everything is and how we can continue to support you.
Okay. Right now, all of my books is on Amazon. You get the titles: Mental Imprisonment, Fiction, Shattered Glass. From one side, to the other. Fat Girl Love, Poems from Inside 2010, and 12 Elevation, which is a 12-step book. And these the guys that I use to get to where I'm at. Again, I'm not perfect, but all of my books is on Amazon, and I do sell them in my store, which is called John's Variety in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, in the Marketplace Mall. My movie right now, I'm showing them in a local theater, but as you said earlier, Miss Felicia, it's gonna be a chance. It's gonna come a time where I'm gonna be winning them awards. It's gonna be worldwide, and I plan on putting them on Amazon. And if it become a problem, then it's gonna be on YouTube. So then, and I plan on getting it out there for the world to see. I'm on Instagram, Mr. Phenomenon 525. On my Facebook is John Baxter. You can find me with a red and blue stripy shirt with shades on. But I ain't hard to find. If you're looking for an email, John Baxter 44 yahoo.com. and it's just that simple. You get my books on Amazon, and I'm right. I want to make it easy to find. Even when I make it, I still want to be easy. I want to stay humble, and I want be able to, like, I want people being like, I can find this guy. I want to be able to help you, even if don't nobody help me, but God just get me there. I want to be able to look back and pull people up and like, this how I did it. It can be done. Believe in yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, now. That's great. It's really, really good. And you guys got it. Everybody got it, right? So Amazon. Go to
Oh,
Amazon and grab these books.
I do
All
want
right.
to say one more thing.
Go ahead, honey.
I
Go
do.
right ahead.
Okay, scared the shadow one, scared the shadow two. A new cast. I want to give thanks, kudos to both movies. The cast that did both movies, they did great jobs. We went all the way back to school. We put a title out there, then we followed it with the head, the body, the conclusion. So all the cast in both movies, I like to say thank you guys. Y'all did great jobs, and I want the world to know how far it's going on this interview. Everybody know that these people here in Winston-Salem, these guys, these women, the ladies and gentlemen, they are really stepping out on faith, and they doing a good job. Nobody can tell me nothing different. So both cast in both movies, I give y'all a good round of applause. Y'all did really good. And y'all keep going. And there's more to come. So I thank the cast. They real good. Not an amateur, they acting, and it's by the grace of God.
I
Awesome.
love that. I'm glad you remembered to say that, right? Because that's how you're going to be when you're on stage. You got to make sure you don't forget. Write it down. Try to get all the
Yeah,
people, and then, add a little. And anybody I forgot, don't charge it to my heart. Charge it to my head. You make sure you write that down so you don't, in case you miss some folks as well. But that's great. That's
yeah,
great. You want to make sure that you are shouting out those people, because even if you can't give them a dime, until you can give them a dime, you want to at least show your appreciation to them. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it reminded me to invite you to a focus group that we just decided that we're going to start for our entertainers, for our film industry folks, so the actors and the writers and so forth that are a part of our business. We're starting a focus group with one of our writing groups, and we are going to have it whereas you can come and bring your scripts, and we can do some table reads and things like that. And if you'd like to have somebody maybe just read the taglines and so forth, you have a group of people, objective folks who can be an assist to you and a support system in that way. So I will make sure I have your contact information. I'll make sure that I get that over to you. So while you're moving through, you have some other areas, your irons in the fire for some other areas of support, because just because we're not in North Carolina does not mean that we can't support you. And I'm so excited that we're going to be able to do that. And I want to just make sure before we go, I want to give you a second so you can say any last things that you need to say. But I want to make sure that we shout out our sponsors again: Simone Enterprises and Entertainment Company, and KJ Multimedia Solutions. That's who does all of our cute little media stuff. He's in the background making sure that I'm not looking crazy. So I appreciate Kenny very much. And we're very, very excited about all these great things to come. We have some book tours coming up. So, John, we're going to get with you about that. We have some mentorship programs that we're doing through the Simone Family Foundation, along with the Big Rig Kids organization. So we have a lot going on, and we work together. We get folks who have an interest in working together and working hard, and then we connect each other. So if you know folks who have an interest, this is for our viewers as well. If you know folks who have an interest and they're looking for mentors, or they're interested in being a mentee, or they need help with starting their business or writing their book or getting that information out of their head, that's what we do, and we would love to be able to assist you. So drop those comments inside of this live and let us know, or send us a message. And we're very excited to work with folks. And John, I'll give you 1 minute to wrap up, just in case you forgot anything else that you want to say before we disconnect.
yes. First of all, Always glory to God. I want to thank you guys for allowing me on the show. I cannot. I always my assistant, my secretary, they do great jobs, and I get my books up on Amazon. How I get my books edited. Everybody that helped me out along the way in everything that I'm doing, I, I'm very thankful for them, and I tell them all the time, it's by God's grace. And even when I do something wrong, like you said, don't hold it to my heart, charge it to my head. I dumb out sometimes. We all do, but my secretary, my assistant, they are two great women, man, and nobody's perfect. So I thank them, and again, the cast, and thank you for being on this show and all the other shows that I've been on. I'm thanking y'all too for the opportunity to come and say whatever has to be said for all the things that I did say. I'm very thankful. And the people, the friends that supporting my store, my books, and my movie. I'm very thankful.
Thank you so much again, John. Thank you. We really, really appreciate you, and we appreciate the viewers. We want to thank you again for coming. We're very, very grateful because life sometimes can be overwhelming for children and adults, just families in our communities. And this is a place where we highlight those like John and many others who came before him who overcame these challenges. And in the past, we've all survived life setbacks. And as Grandma Polly says, and we've turned those lemons into lemonade. So we're so happy that you joined us today. And again, as she says when she leaves, thank you for listening to Conversations with Grandma Polly. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye.